Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and for almost a decade, I have been a transformation coach and therapist. This podcast is all about lifting the veil of consciousness and awakening to the truth. It is also about helping you to raise the bar in all areas of your life and relationships by starting with you. If you're ready to take back your personal power and reclaim your life, you have come to the right place. I'm so glad that you're here, so let's get started with today's episode. Have you ever heard this saying, how we do one thing is how we do everything? I don't actually know who the original source of that quote or idea is. I heard it many years ago. I don't even remember where I heard it, but it is something that is stuck with me. And it's really powerful if you can really grasp the depth of this concept, if you're willing to go there. This is about taking radical self-responsibility. It's about taking ownership. It's about looking at every situation that we might find ourselves in, whether it's positive or negative. So this actually applies either way. So how you do one thing in some areas that is actually positive and growth inducing or is producing positive results that you want, and you do that across the board in many other areas, then that is a positive trait, right? This more pertains to when you are experiencing issues in some area of your life, including your relationships. And this is a concept that I teach and work from with my clients, is when we just start to work on one area and we start making shifts in that area. So with women, it's typically that women that I work with, it's typically in their relationships because of the focus of what I do. However, when we are coaching together, the work ripples out into their health and their wellness and their body and their other relationships with other family members, in their work life, with boundaries. It shows up in multiple other areas. So you start to shift one area and then you begin to shift the others. So if you start taking accountability for your role in the ongoing patterns that you find yourself in that are painful, that are frustrating, that leave you exhausted and exasperated, you take ownership for your role in some of those and you start looking at, okay, well, I have this 60 pounds I want to lose. I know I'm overweight. I know that I have health issues. So now I'm going to take that same concept and apply it in the other areas. So when I'm working with women, this goes for my group coaching program as well. It's a little different if you're working with me one-on-one because I can really dive deep into like your specific areas that we need to focus on in 3-month increments. So we go for 90 days, we set those goals, you have that accountability of the coaching, you have me keeping you on track. I mean, you have to still go away and do the work, but it's different because it is very much tailored to your situation and your phase of your relationship, if you're in it or out of it or on your way out of it. So my one-on-one coaching is different because it is high touch. You get a lot of support. You have texting support and voice messaging support with me through a private app, along with weekly coaching. So if you are actually interested in that, I'll plug it here. Just head to the link in the show notes. I am accepting applications at this time for my one-to-one program. I have limited spots that are available at one time. And so once they're full, they're full. And then if you were to go to that link, it may lead you to a waitlist link. So at this point, I am accepting applications. I love doing more one-on-one work over the summer because my availability opens up. I'm not having to drive my teenagers here, there, and everywhere. So I'm able to work later, doing sessions later in the afternoon and midday. So that's the reason why I am opening up some availability over the summer. So if you want to really dive deep into your changes that you need to make over the summer months, over the next 90 days, head to the link in the show notes and click the link to apply for a consultation with me. So when you are looking at making a change in one area, so you're here because of your relationship, very likely, there are things that you are doing habitually as a pattern that are showing up in other areas. So if we can take full ownership of that and accountability for that, we can really, really experience massive levels of growth. So it's about looking at all right, so what am I doing in my relationship that I'm doing in my business or in my career or with other people in my life or with my body and my wellness? With anything. Business is a big one, actually. Like business, relationships, health, like those are like the big ones. Career as well. If you have potential to excel in your career, but you're not taking the steps to excel, you're not building leadership, or there's nowhere to really go from where you are. Some women that I've worked with realize that, and they change careers, or they go back to school, or they completely change the path they're on, right? So that's on the extreme side. But if you own a business, you know that, especially if you are doing like online stuff, not necessarily material, like like selling things, but if you are offering services, or you're a writer, or you're a coach, or a consultant, or a web developer, or you offer copywriting, I've worked with women in all those areas. If you're doing a program or a business, if you have a business like that, then you know that there is no ceiling to what you can earn, but your earning potential is blocked by what you have going on in your life. So when you're in a toxic, abusive, chaotic relationship, it does hold you back in the sense that you are too consumed with what's going on there. So other areas start to suffer. And I don't even like to say that it holds you back. Like it does, but this is part of the work. So we have to realize, no, I've been allowing this to hold me back. Like, fuck this. I am not doing this anymore. And so you take that fire and that anger and that rage, and you use it as fuel to change your health, to work out, to lose weight, because you are focusing on long-term changes, not fad diets that are just going to fail, and restricting and over-exercising till you wear yourself out. It's about the long-term game. Like, what is it I need to start doing now and make habits to change now, so that in 3 months or 6 months, these are things that I can continue on with. They're sustainable, and I can continue having that growth. Same with growing a business or changing directions in your career, like looking at the long term. If I have these certain goals financially, professionally, or otherwise, or for my purpose. Like for me, my business is very like purpose and passion driven. It's how I show up to do this podcast and have for many years, because I'm passionate about these topics, about growth and evolution and personal development and transformation. It's like a huge value of mine. And so it's the reason why I can keep doing this, and it doesn't get old for me. Like, sure, I can take pause, and I have taken pauses from making episodes, but because it's a passion of mine, it comes naturally. And so I keep showing up. So I think everybody, especially if you have your own business, you have to tap into that. So where was I going with this? What was my point? So I want you to just do a quick assessment, grab your journal, and ask yourself, so what is my biggest pattern, like my biggest pain right now? Like, what is the thing that is just really weighing heavily on me? And how has this been a pattern in my life? And how is this pattern showing up in the other key areas of my life? So other relationships, friendships, body and wellness, your career / finances, money, business. What seems to be the common pattern within those areas of your life? Even if you can just find one. Like for me, one of my things is I tend to have little or big piles of clutter. So, and my brain can easily get overwhelmed, overloaded. I start forgetting things. I become absent-minded. I get frazzled because I've got this long to-do list that I need to do, to-do list for my house, to-do list for my business, to-do list for my health, to-do list for each of my teenagers, and everything else in between. And so my mind gets cluttered. And so I start to see little piles of papers and little things that end up gathering in the house. It drives me nuts, honestly. Or just things that I know I need to get to in my house, and it just day after day after day, I don't get to it. How does that ripple into other areas of my life? Well, it certainly does. Definitely. And so when I can see that I tend to put things off, leave things kind of hanging, procrastinate, then I get to a point where I'm like so sick of myself doing that I tackle it and I do something about it, and it feels way better. Like this past weekend, I was procrastinating on cutting all of the lawn. I have like 3 levels of lawn to cut. I've been procrastinating on cleaning out the garage, and there was some other things, and I did them, and it felt really good. Sometimes we can overplan, or, for me, it's like if it's in my mind, I've got way too many things going on. I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll plan it this weekend. But you know how it is. Things take over. And so sometimes you just have to take advantage of a moment where I just had this moment where I was down in my garage and I'm like, I really should be doing other things right now because I had stuff going on. I was like, no, I'm just going to start shop vac cleaning the floor in there. And then that led to another thing and another thing. And it led to me like posting some things on like Facebook Marketplace to just get rid of them. There's these little things that kind of snowballed and I felt better. And so this is really just a metaphor for everything. And I see this with women when they feel so bogged down in their relationship and by the relationship problems, they don't see that there are things that they could start shifting and adjusting. And when I help them to discover what those are for themselves, right? Because oftentimes, yes, sometimes suggestions are very helpful, or being directed, like here's what I see and here's what I think you need to do. Does that resonate with you? Does that fit? That's sort of my approach, is like I don't always like directly tell clients what to do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm more spicy, but typically it is about here's what I suggest. Does that feel like it's a fit? Does that feel expansive? Does that feel like something you could do? But a lot of times we have to come up with it from within ourselves. Like, what are those things? And that takes self-awareness. That takes tapping in to knowing ourselves and knowing that we are stuck in our own shit. We're stuck in the shit pit and we need to dig ourselves out, because nobody is coming to save us. Nobody is. No man, no parent, no job, no government, nothing. Nothing is coming to save us. And that is why it is on us. Does that mean that we shouldn't have support? No, of course not. We all need support. I still need support, and I give that to myself when it's needed. And so I encourage you to have that kind of level of support as well. If you are really struggling with where do I start? Like, every area of my life feels like a bloody hot mess, and this relationship is dragging me down to the floor. So where do I start? Because I feel like I can't even function. So when you come on, if you come on with me working one-to-one, this is where we start. If you come into my coaching program, that is where you start. It always starts with you just really doing an assessment of your life, like taking stock and starting to make different little steps and changes here and there until the pathway becomes clearer in that work. That's the goal, right? That's why it's not about saying you need to just get up and leave and your life will get better. Sometimes your life needs to get better before you can get up and leave. And you are responsible for that. So if you're interested in applying for one of the spots that I have for one-on-one coaching, as I said, they're limited. So once they're full, they're full. And I don't take others on for another 3 months because I work in 90-day increments with clients. And I do have some that I'm working with right now. So the spaces are limited on how many more I can take on. Just head to the link in the show notes to apply. If you have not taken my Should I Stay or Should I Go free masterclass, it's available right now on the replay. The recording of it that I have is available to watch anytime. Just head to the link in the show notes as well to get into that masterclass and get started on really knowing what your path forward looks like. So play around with this idea over the next few days and just look at where things are not working in your life and ask yourself, where else am I doing this? And see where you can change it, because it might not even be changing it in your relationship right now. It might be, I need to get my running shoes on and get my ass outside for a 60-minute walk every day. Like, I need to move my body. Or it might be, I need to go clean out the garage, or I might need to go clean this or deal with that clutter or whatever it might be. And your intuition will oftentimes tell you what that next thing is, and that creates more momentum. Change, making little tweaks, taking action creates the momentum. Sitting and thinking and ruminating and overthinking it all creates stagnancy. The energy doesn't move in that, and it just feels like shit. That's why you feel so drained, because you're in your head, you're thinking and processing about what to do next. When if you were to just take some small action, it creates momentum and you get more ideas and inspiration from that momentum. So I hope that this message was what you needed to hear today. It was something it's very much on my heart today, and I felt like I may as well share it and hopefully inspire you to make some change. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this show and it has served you and helped you on your journey, please take a moment right now and leave a rating and review in iTunes and Spotify. If you'd like more daily content, videos, and inspiration, come on over and join me at Awakening Women Support Official over on Instagram, where we can connect and you can continue your transformation and growth journey. And I'll see you online. Take care.